listening to the Brotherly Talk podcast. Keep it real.
Hello, everybody. It's your boy Dennis. I'm back with the Brotherly Talk podcast today. I'm here with my bro Aubrey,
How's it going?
and today we have a special guest star. His name's James. James.
What's up, y'all?
I just want to say, first of all, thank you all for the amazing support that we've been recently getting on Spotify and all other social media platforms. If you guys do want to interact or have any questions you guys might want to ask us, feel free to click the tree in the link tree and go to our waiver, submit it to our email, and we'll try to get you on here. But without further ado, James, introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? Corporal James Aguilar, still not fucking sergeant yet. Been an MP for about almost 5 years. Been at Carson, obviously fucking Leonard, Fort Carson, actually Fort Leonard Wood. And yeah, pretty much it.
All right, well, thank you. Well, right now I'm gonna pass it over to my brother Aubrey. He's gonna ask you the first question of the night.
Awesome. Thank you, Dennis. I love you, boo. All right, James.
too.
So you'll get to sergeant one day. It's okay. I believe in you. Just keep trying. It's not like it's not going to be denied to you. You re-enlisted, so it's going to happen, man. Thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, and giving us the opportunity to talk to you so we can get your opinions and get your voice out there, because that's really important, being the voice of the little guys. One of the questions really pertains to you because it's not something that's common with a lot of people in the military. It's definitely something you see often, okay? But it's well known to us that you practice fighting, like MMA and stuff, mixed martial arts, and that's something that you're very passionate about. It was something that was very clear a lot when we were in the same unit together at one point back at the beginning of our careers, and you displayed a lot of love and passion for it. So I'm going to mix that into law enforcement. Okay, so how has mixed martial arts and all that extensive training that you have that regular, police officers don't normally get, how has that benefited you in your capacity to perform law enforcement? Has it been a benefit? Has there been downsides? Have you had to use that in any case that if you didn't have mixed martial arts training, that it could have gone worse? And just give me a little background to that, man.
Yeah, I think it's definitely helped a lot. Being able to work under pressure, I guess being comfortable, being uncomfortable is the best way to put it. And like I tell my guys when I was working the road, the 3 C's, cool, calm, and collective. As long as you're cool, calm, and collective, everything will majority go in your way. Obviously circumstantial based, but yeah, it's definitely helped a lot. I believe it or not, I've never had to really go hands-on with a person. I've always tried to be the voice of reason. I don't like to just randomly grab people on the street and start beating them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I be the voice of reason and not have to use the skills that I've learned to, use it as a last resort. I really, I try not to use last resort. I think.
Would you say that the training that you did receive hasn't necessarily benefited you in a fighting style, but in your confidence and being able to stay calm? Like, it's taught you to stay calm under pressure, so that's benefited you a lot as a police officer, because calm, collectiveness, it's not always something that you can learn from. Not something that you can't learn, okay? But it's a skill that you have to learn, and MMA has maybe been a route that gave you that ability to be really cool, calm, and which it has appeared to benefited you because you haven't had those opportunities to go hands-on. I don't want to say opportunities, that sounds absolutely horrible, to be honest, but it's given, you haven't had to use that under any circumstances. Maybe because you're confident in your ability to go hands-on, but you don't want to go there because you know what you're capable of, and you'd rather, de-escalate a situation. Is it safe to assume something like that?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, even just Yeah, like you were saying, it is a skill that can be acquired. It just takes time. Simple things like even like what gets my blood pumping, like I get a code for let's say a DB or even like an ISIS alarm, something super not super simple.
Mm-hmm.
But getting my blood flowing and the adrenaline's rushing and you got a little bit of sweat going, you got a little tingling going, that feeling you slap on the
Yeah.
just being able to sit there on the way and kind of clear my head, and obviously go to every call, open book with an open mind. But being able to sit there and just breathe, nice and slow, relax, or if you're on a scene for a TA, a traffic accident,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, people that are sitting there trying to, see what's going on, record or whatever, just keeping crowd control, and seeing something that like let's say like unfortunately like a suicide, something like that. Being able to stay calm under pressure and have a good poker face, because as law enforcement we're supposed to be upholding the law, and we're the face of the installation when it comes to professionalism.
Yeah. Yeah.
With being calm and
Right.
really having a good opinion. But it has helped, especially getting in shape. I feel like, in my opinion, law enforcement, not just in the military, but all around the states, there's a lack of not so much as say technique, but and right, starting at the lowest, like we're taught, levels of force or lowest level of force, obviously going to be IPC or interpersonal communication skills.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing around officers nowadays is they're resorting to their taser or their firearm or their whatever it may be, OC, right away, instead of using those proper levels of forces. And I'm really trying to. When I first started training, I was surrounded by a lot of law enforcement guys and ex-military, stuff like that, and they'd always say, "Oh, I wish I had this when I was in," stuff like that, and I wouldn't have to wouldn't have to use my taser, wouldn't have to use this, whatever it may be. So I feel like somehow, some way, I know I can't do anything. I'm only one man, but set somewhat of a curriculum, I guess, is the best way to put it. Which I try to do. I try to do while I was at 127, and there never was any time, quote unquote.
Yeah.
They got plenty of time for us to do 350-1 training, no problem at all, right?
What's 350-1 training, man?
That's your answer. Like useless fucking certs. That's what it is.
Useless online training. Yeah.
Hey, don't forget to do your OPSEC.
Oh yeah, OPSEC cert. Yeah, you got to research in cyber awareness too. Now that you're on the podcast, just want to let you know. Do you have an updated cyber awareness?
I do, as of fucking January 10th, I believe.
Oh, perfect. Then you could be on here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really think there should be some sort of curriculum. I mean, I've been doing it since I've been training since 2012, since I was a kid, and honestly, if I didn't start where I was and started so young, I don't think I would be the man I am today, at least confidence wise. Being able to know, like, oh, if I'm out with my wife or my friends or something like that, something happen, I have that capability to neutralize the situation and de-escalate the situation without using any means of lethal force. I mean, don't get me wrong, it can be lethal.
Yeah.
But just subdue whatever may happen whatever may happen per situation. And just knowing that I have that in the back of my mind, well, not the back of my mind, I have that in my tool belt.
Yeah.
It just makes going out and doing stuff a lot easier, because the world is fucking crazy nowadays. Let's be real.
Big facts, man. Big facts.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that entire thing. I totally agree with some of the points that you definitely made. Shit, if I knew how to do MMA, I would definitely be keeping that in my arsenal too. I'd feel a lot more confident with certain situations on the road, But so next one, next little question I ask you, it's kind of like straight away from the more like personal topic, but more into the big army type of things. I want to ask you. So you know how the army is nowadays you gotta be very careful with what you say and how you react to people. And so this goes on to the topic where, do you think the army is getting more into the political side of the spectrum and straying away from its original values, from being taught to focus on the enemy instead of worrying about their feelings? You know what I mean? So what's your input on that?
I agree 100%. It's I don't want to say too much because I'm still in, and I don't want to.
No, you're good, man. You could be 100% truthful. It's all opinions. They can't get you on nothing, I promise.
It's 100%. Well, that being said, it's 100% fucking political.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you still have your NCOs and your officers that try away from that and keep it to old army, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to career progression, obviously, you know, like standing out and being a fucking PT stud or standing out and going to boards, right? Sending yourself away from your peers is this thing. 100%. I have no dissatisfaction towards that. I couldn't. But at the same time, when you have so continually doing so let's say, like, for example, right, we have a soldier that's average at PT, right, still passes, goes to a board maybe once in a fucking blue moon, something like that. But he's at the company, putting in the work, doing the right thing. Yes, sergeant. No, sergeant. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Whatever it may be. And then you got the PT stud, right? We're talking like 600 on the ACFT boards every fucking weekend, so on and so forth, whatever it may be. It's always going to be favored that board individual, right?
Mm-hmm.
And regardless how they handle themselves on the outside, so let's say they get into trouble, God forbid they get in trouble, it gets swept under the rug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It does. Of circumstances. I'm not saying every single circumstance, but majority of circumstances, it does happen. It is what it is, right? You want to keep
the
poster boy or girl of the battalion or the fucking installation, right?
Yeah, because it makes the other individuals look better when that poster boy is shining for them.
And it keeps that numbers up, you know?
Exactly. And I feel like, especially much as I love 127, that's been I feel like, in my opinion, it's been a really big problem. Not so much a problem, but just a little bit to raise concern.
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, I like putting myself in that shoes. I'm that fucking average guy. I'm not trying to be like salty or like stay one-sided, but I know there's people to my left and right that are afraid to come out and say that type of stuff. And they just say, oh, I'll just go with it, you know, let them do their thing. You know, I'm just going to cower away in the shadows. I say, fuck that, man. Come out and be about it, because how can you voice concerns if you won't even have the courage to speak? It takes time. But eventually when you see the reoccurring shit happen, you just kind of get fed up. But kind of straight away point. But it's, especially being, I was a battalion commander and battalion command sergeant major driver from 2020 to 2021. Being up at battalion and being at the office, right, you kind of disassociate yourself from the line unit companies. To an extent, your majority, you're dealing with ops sergeants or first sergeants or company commanders. Up there and kind of seeing how the process works and the decisions that are made. Majority of the time, it's the correct. Let's say it's for an Article 15 or something like that, right? Subsequent amount, motive, reason, whatever. This kid's gonna get Article 15. I'm not going to say I have seen it. I'm not going to say I haven't, but there's been situations where punishment may come up and say, oh, this kid's done this. We're going to not fucking sign this paperwork and he's going to be fine. So being up at that higher level, I started to notice right away how things actually work. Because everything, like, just like information, like you get a text for notes for next week or whatever it may be. It gets sent down by this person and, you know, by your platoon sergeant.
It trickles down,
right. It all the information or the information like dissipates.
Yeah, it can change, and somebody could easily make the message appear something that it wasn't originally intended. So yeah, I hear you, man.
It transfer 1,000 words into 10.
Yeah, that's best way to put it. But yeah, just being up there and being away from the line unit just really it's more political. I mean, you're more around a lot of big wigs, right? Especially like brigade level where I'm at right now. Um, it's a lot of you're surrounded by rank, a lot of rank, 24/7. And you're interacting with a lot of rank, like battalion command, battalion command sergeant majors nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, especially being here now, doing what I'm doing now, I can't dabble too much into it, but it's a lot of behind the doors shit that's happening that's should be brought to the light, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Cover someone's fucking reputation at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that kind of answered it. But I strongly believe that the Army leadership style, not just leadership, I'm talking fucking Army in general. It's all political nowadays. It really it's to the pleasure, not pleasure.
Like a dog and pony show.
Yeah, dog and pony show, and to meet the people's needs, I guess, to an extent, if that kind of the people pleasers. The Army's turning to the people instead of being, we still are, the armed forces we're the United States fucking, we're the best of the best. We're the best in the world. No doubt about it. But in turn, outside, not agencies, but people, civilian stuff they don't see the small internal shit and the big internal, but it's hit the nail on the head. It really is a dog and pony show.
I appreciate that. Thank you for giving that opinion. I do want to say though, on a separate note, that at the end of the day, we can't sugarcoat it. Right? We're in the Army. We're here to fucking kill the enemy, disperse them. You know what I mean? And I think that's what a lot of the political games come into, is that they're trying to not make people think that's what the Army's for. They're caring more about their feelings, but there's no way to fucking sugarcoat it. We're here to get trained. We're here to go destroy our enemy, and we're here to get the shit done. So I appreciate that for going over that. And Aubrey, I'm gonna pass it back to you.
It's such a broad topic when it comes down to how political the Army can be, and you hit so many nails that most people would shudder when it comes down to speaking, man. You spoke a lot of truth there, and you said a lot of things that I guarantee a lot of our listeners would definitely relate to and be like, hey, this man's spitting fucking facts. And you definitely were. You were spitting facts, man. It made a lot of sense. The Army, we're in peacetime. We're not fighting nobody right now. Not yet, at least. Russia hasn't fucked up enough. But it's all about gain. It's all about getting more power and jumping above somebody else's head. And when you're below somebody, right, it's always about pleasing the person above you and shitting on the people below you. I see that so often, and it drives me nuts. And even as a sergeant now, and the soldiers underneath me, I do my best to shield them. I know I have one soldier right now that is getting chaptered out, and there's a lot of shit that's been kind of like rolling downhill towards him, and I'm like, I get that he's getting kicked out for certain reasons and stuff, but he's still a human being. You don't have to treat him that way because he's getting out. And then another thing I see often is like when people say they won't re-enlist, a lot of people are like, oh, that man's a fucking pussy. Oh, it's not cut out for him. It's like, motherfucker, I still did my time. I got out honorably. My contract says, my DD-214 is going to say honorable fucking discharge because I did 5 years of service. I still served my country. Just because I didn't do 20 years doesn't mean everything that I did was completely worthless and it didn't benefit the Army that I gave my time to. But enough of that spiel. I definitely agree with a lot of what you said, Aguilar, and I appreciate you for sharing that, man.
Yeah, same.
I'm going to jump back towards that little personal bit because that's just the kind of person I am. I like picking your brain and making you get close to tears because that's where the real shit is, A lot of people, they don't know what it means to get real now these days, and you're showing us a really good bit of who you are as a person, and that's beautiful to me. So I want to know how you balance work and life in the Army, and then if you could describe, in whatever detail you can, what that work-life balance is and how you de-stress at the end of the day after you work and then you come home, and just what all work entails, what a normal day looks like to you, and then at the end of it, do you have time to be yourself?
I'll say this at first, when I first got to Carson, I had a 50-50 balance, right? I mean, I got as the field started and I didn't really know fucking left from right, a fucking asshole in the hole in the ground. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
And I was just going with the flow, I guess, at that point. So I didn't really have much of a like work personal life. I thought it was all going to be work, work, work. I'm back from the field. If we had like a 3-day or 4-day, we'd all fucked up and it would just make everything good.
Yeah.
But getting married and being with my wife, and I had it's gonna be real fucking personal.
Let us hear it, man.
When I first became a team leader, I couldn't accept defeat.
Yeah.
I couldn't accept wrong. Not so much I was wrong, but I couldn't accomplish the task at hand. I would spend fucking hours at home, countlessly trying to find an answer, do my research, study up on things so I can, have a legit answer if a soldier has a question or something like that. I can have that. I was trying to overwork myself and overload myself. That I would come home, I would always be pissed. I would always have a fucking beer in my hand, and it got really bad to a situation. Where I had to sit down with my wife, and we really had a nice, a long, nice talk. And I'm thankful I had a squad leader too that really gave a shit about me. Out to fucking Sergeant First Class Cruz, and she's the fucking goat. She's seen me at my worst, and she's seen me at my best, and I wouldn't be where I was today, honestly, without her. She fucking outstanding. But that being said, now that I'm here in Missouri, I have no issues. I show up. I'm like I said, I'm the brigade commander and command sergeant major. So I can leave all that shit at work. I started to learn when I PCS'd. I started to really realize and sit back and take a step back and realize what needs to be at work and what needs to stay at home. So I would still count. I remember the first week I started working, I would come home like, oh, I need to put this down. I need to do this. I need to get this done. I need to go back into work. And I remember getting up and getting in the shower. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to change in my civilians, just go. And why the fuck am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking time from my wife that we have. And now that I'm here, I won't have to go to the field as much. So I'm very blessed to have that time with my wife. Why am I doing this? What is the reasoning behind it? I'm trying to be a perfection artist. I don't like to make mistakes. Especially no more than fucking twice.
Yeah.
And I had to sit there and realize what's the point? What's going to get done? I just started. Mistakes are going to happen. I'm doing a job, something completely different than what I've done for the past 4 years. I'm going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. Take the moment to learn and struggle now and prosper later on. It's someone's life is always going to be up. It's always going to be up and down. Nothing's going to ever be fucking perfect. But if you're able to take a step back and realize and assess the situation, what's happening, and rebound from it, I mean, you can want anything. And that's just from your work life to personal life, whatever it may be, personal goals. But if it wasn't for what I was going through in 2021, when I was a TL and just getting fucking battered on myself and shit like that, then I wouldn't have come to that realization. And I wouldn't have come to that realization. I probably would have been a fucking mess, honestly. I probably wouldn't have re-enlisted. I would have been so overwhelmed with work and not being able to differentiate between the two. And I would have fucking lost it.
So would you say that that point that you're talking about in 2021 as a team leader, would you say that you experienced a real low in your career and as a person?
I would say, I mean, it's no different than anything else. Some days are better, some days are worse.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a low. confidence wise, some days I didn't. I mean, majority of the time I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable going to work. I feel like I couldn't. I
Yeah.
couldn't uphold the standard and do my job, and I was failing myself. But I looked to my left and right, and I mean, I talked to my soldiers about it. I said, hey, you know, how's my performance going? What do I need to do to improve? What do I need to do to provide the tools for success? Because we can't pave the road for you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to provide the tools. If it wasn't for sitting down and just talking to my soldiers about like real shit, not just like work, like actually being able to talk to your soldiers and understand them,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of had my head above water.
Yeah.
In my and I had such a good squad. Like I said, great squad leader, great Alpha Bravo team leaders. And if I didn't have them to kind of hold me up, I'd be at the bottom of a fucking bottle right now.
So you're saying that kind of was like the landmark, the turning point for you was sitting down and just as a leader being humble and getting to know your soldiers as a person because that's your team. If off chance that you did go down range into a firefight, you know, well, those are the people that's watching your back and you have to do the same for them. So you displayed humble leadership and that turned you around.
I'm surely like I left when I PCS here. I kind of left without a trace. I didn't really tell too many people. I just wanted to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Or out of there. But if I can go back in time just for a day, I mean, I would shake every fucking person's hands that helped me along the way.
Yeah.
Without the soldiers, I mean, us leaders, we'd be fucking nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We would be, us soldiers, they're our fucking kids. I mean, sometimes you got to babysit them. It is make bad decisions.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the soldiers of 2nd Platoon, I wouldn't be re-enlisting. I wouldn't have re-enlisted. I probably would be smoking fucking pot back in California or something. I don't fucking know.
That's real. That's real.
I wouldn't be here. Continue to try to give my 100% somewhere else and affect someone else's life in a positive way. So
that's real, man. And you know, a lot of people, and I'm gonna throw all us men out there. A lot of men, they find difficulty being able to express things and be humble and speak about the stuff you just spoke. And I appreciate that. I do. That really sheds some insight on the person and your character as a person, man. That's some good shit. That's keeping it real, dog. Dennis.
Yeah, appreciate you for telling that story. Like Roy said, there's no fine line way around it. A lot of people wouldn't have just said what you just said. Appreciate you for sharing that experience with us, man. Right?
Of course.
So I was gonna ask you I did hear that you said you re-enlisted, right? And obviously for myself and Roy, we're getting out. You know, we have all the plans and everything, but that doesn't make you like anyone else who re-enlists bad. You know what I mean? If you guys re-enlist, hey, that's good for you. You know what I mean? But I wanted to ask you for what was your reason for re-enlisting? Like, what were some of the biggest things that made you want to be like, yeah, I like the Army. I'm gonna keep doing this, and yeah, I just want to hear your side of thought for it.
Going back on it, Sergeant Cruz. She was the 99% reason why I wanted to re-enlist, because there's good fucking NCOs out there. I shouldn't say good. She's outstanding. There's a lot of outstanding NCOs out there. And I know the Army's hurting for NCOs because no one wants to step up and take the reins and really strive for a better Army. And she came in and like I said earlier, I mean, she did a whole 180. And it was really for the better. She was the main reason why we re-enlisted. And of course, just being around soldiers. Like I said, just being a team leader and the early mornings and the late nights, they're 100% fucking worth it. Being able to see your soldiers grow, not just as soldiers, but as people too. Because if you're doing it right, I shouldn't say doing it right, but if you're doing it how it should be, basically doing it right,
Yeah.
you should be your soldier's personal life. I'm obviously to extent you should know every single little, when you wake up, when you fucking breathe, but
Yeah.
you should involve your life to at least get to know them and really know them. And probably the other reason I need college, hence why I'm not a fucking sergeant. So I want to get college.
You'll get there, man. You'll get there.
Hell
Just
yeah,
keep
man. You
working.
get it,
Keep
definitely.
working. It's all
You get
about the
that easy
grind.
shit.
But definitely those three. I didn't want to leave with a bad taste in my mouth, because at that point where I either could have re-enlisted or couldn't,
Yeah.
I satisfied. I fucking wanted nothing to do with the Army. I was just fed up with all the bullshit, and that's when I sat down with my squad leader, and we had a long, probably 2-hour, 3-hour talk about it. And I just came to realization, and I didn't want to leave with a bad taste in my mouth. That's the best way to put it. I wanted to give it another shot, and in 2025, if I'm in the same predicament right now, and I'm contemplating whether I want to stay in or stay out, I mean, who knows? If I stay in, awesome. If I get out, cool. I'll find something to do to support my family.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever that may be for down the road, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I think those three: college, soldiers. I mean, fuck soldiers, man. I love having soldiers. And Sergeant Cruz, 100%.
An outstanding NCO. The ability to see people grow.
You
in
hear
college.
that, people? If you're in outstanding leadership, you actually keep numbers in. Wow. Who would have thought?
That's wonderful, man. I've seen the person that you mentioned that kept you in, and I would have never expected her to have such an impact on somebody, and that's partially on me as well. I've never put myself out there to get to know her as a person or NCO either. I just haven't had those opportunities, but that's admirable. The fact that you were re-enlisted because of a great NCO, and it really goes to show that the Army still has good NCOs. There's still people that want to see you progress and be a better soldier and step into their boots one day, and that's really important for people who want to enlist and people who have enlisted and are junior soldiers now. Like that's something really important to see. And if there's one piece of advice you can give to non-commissioned officers who are stepping into those boots now, what would that piece of advice be? It doesn't matter. You're a corporal. You're a non-commissioned officer in my eyes, because I feel those boots, and I had to wear I had to wear the stripes too. So I know it's a lot more difficult as a corporal non-commissioned officer versus pinning on sergeant right away. Being a corporal is like the shit stick of NCOs, but they're such an important role, and it's such it's such a big leap from specialist to corporal and from corporal to sergeant. And I think that corporal matters a lot. They're in such a explicit position to make some real good change before they hit sergeant, and I definitely respect the rank. So if there's one piece of advice that you can give to a fresh NCO, what would that be?
I know 99% of the soldiers I was with know exactly what the fuck I'm about to say, but lead from the front, from the fucking front.
Now, how do you lead from the front?
Don't behind a computer all day, or don't sit in an office and tell what to do and then get pissed off when you're not out there showing them what to do. Be out there, embrace the suck, be out there with your fucking soldier, regardless if they're under you in their team or not. If they're a different squad, different team, it doesn't matter. Hey, we're all fucking soldiers regardless of the rank. Like I've told the troops countless times before, the ranks are one by one on your fucking chest. Anyone can be a fucking leader. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So my biggest advice is lead from the front and take care of your fucking soldiers, because they will have your back till the fucking very end.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome, brother.
Well, we are coming up on 4 minutes here, so this might conclude the end for episode 5. We do want to say, obviously, thank you all the listeners and the viewers from whatever platform you guys are tuning in on. It really means a lot. And thank you again for James for being on here today, for sharing a lot of touching stories and a lot of stuff that a lot of people would not step up to say. And I'll give it over to Roy if you want anything else to say.
Yeah, first off, I want to give a shout out to the guy at Evans Army Community Hospital today. I believe your name was Torres. You approached me and you looked at me and you're like, "Are you the guy from that podcast?" And by you doing that, it's really motivated me to really keep hitting these topics and bringing people on who want to speak some truth and you keep it real, you know. And James, it's weird calling you James because I'm so used to calling you Aguilar. I'm trying to jump into that first name basis, that civilian mindset again as I'm getting out. But I do really appreciate it, James. I do, because your email popped up with that guest waiver and saying, "Hey, I'd like to be on the podcast." It's like, wow, you know, some peers that I had, you know, coming up in the Army with, because we were all in the same unit for a really big chunk and important part of our careers, and it means a lot to have people want to come on here and talk with us, you know. We've never really had that opportunity to sit down and be personal with each other, and it's like I'm meeting you again, and it's really great because we had so much time apart from when we separated units, and I just really appreciate it, man. I could be all lovey-dovey and give you a kiss if you want to. But James, something we like to do is towards the end of our podcast, once we say thank you to all the wonderful, beautiful people that like to listen to us, even though it's a small number right now, but hopefully it'll get more.
It'll come up.
It'll come up. One of the things we like to do, James, is let the guest end off on whatever note he wants to. So if you want to say fuck you, hopefully not, or you want to say, hey, it was great being on, you know, that's up to you, dog. But you get to close the note before we hit that end on the record, man.
I appreciate it. I mean, first off, thank you, gentlemen, for having me on. It's been fun. I've only done one of these. Only done a podcast once in my life, when I was probably about like 13, 14 years old, when I was first coming to California. But it's nice to just interact with guys I came up with, and like you said, give a voice for the little people. But I appreciate it. It's been fun. Hope I can be on again. And
oh, for sure.
Get fast and eat ass.
All right, Johan Opperman. We all know who the fuck did that.
At the gate. Well, we appreciate it, James, again, man. It's been great seeing you. Great, catching up again, like you said, with fellow people. So
awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks, gentlemen.
All right.
Of course. You have a great night, man.
Keep it real. You're listening to the Brotherly Talk Podcast. Keep it real.